everybody. My name is Freddie Quek. I'm the chair of the BCS Digital Divide Specialist Group. If I may say a few words about the BCS. The BCS is a chartered body for IT professionals, and its purpose is to make IT good for society. And this SG that Margaret and I were part of and is the host of this event, which is a series of monthly webinars to help to socialize the issue of digital inclusion in the UK. And our strategy is to do that in order to mobilize as many people as possible to be aware of this issue and do something about it. And today we're delighted that Dr. Abd Alsattar Ardati is joining us. And his topic is on WikiConnect, Bridging Knowledge Gaps for a Fairer Digital Future for All. He is a lecturer at the St. Andrews University in the School of Computer Science, a passionate advocate for digital inclusion. I'll let him say a few words about what he does there. But the one thing that I want to say on his behalf is that he was recently awarded the Fellowship in Higher Education Advanced certification. So congrats, Dr. Ardati. I think it's an amazing achievement for somebody like so young as you. I also have the privilege of having a first-hand experience working with you. Thank you for inviting me to St. Andrews to work with you on this project. So I'm really excited. But the last thing, if I may say about the SG, is that our purpose is to leave no one digitally behind. So I hope you can see the connection there with the BCS mission and also with this topic today. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to you, Dr. Ardati. Please say a few words about yourself. Tell us, right? I think we're all curious about who you are, why you do this, and then, of course, you have the rest of the time to tell us about this project. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Freddie. It's really a privilege to be with you here today. I am Abd Alsattar Ardati, a lecturer at the Computer Science School here at the University of St. Andrews. I am collaboration enthusiast who is trying to bring researchers closer to community, and my field is in between human-computer interaction and software engineering. Try to make use of technology, make it more accessible to communities, and yeah, that it's all started with me being personally affected by knowledge gaps, and gradually found my way to academia to try to kind of push forward and break the bubble that I was in and help others to kind of break out of the bubble, whether the technical abilities, digital skills abilities to make use and access this digital world, or even like access knowledge at a very basic form of it. So I'm really excited to be here today. And actually, like, I have one of my students or collaborators, I'm going to call it Takaki, who's here with me today, is also to share their experience. So I'm really excited to go through this material with you. So may I maybe start with sharing my screen to tell you more about it? Okay. So I'm sharing. Good. Okay. I hope all can you see the screen? All good? Perfect. Okay, so I am here today to discuss the Digital Inclusion WikiConnect project, and I will make use of this opportunity to talk a little bit about the underpinnings of this project, which is about bridging knowledge gaps for a fairer digital future. I will be going through this content in this sequence so that you get like an overall picture of what I will be covering today. I will discuss the problem, the gaps in digital knowledge, and how this is kind of affecting AI and causing certain biases. And I will move on to discuss how this gets shaped through the knowledge that we have on Wikipedia and other online content available to everyone. And this is kind of where is the challenge there. Hopefully, I will move towards more a brighter side of things to discuss a little bit of the solutions available and some of the initiatives that we have been running here at the University of St. Andrews, and highlighting the Digital Inclusion WikiConnect project. I will bring also the lived experience of one of the participants in this project, and we will then try to conclude and see how everyone can play a role in addressing the challenges that we are facing today. So I thought it would be a good idea to start with this question, like because I brought this kind of topic of Wikipedia, open knowledge, and AI, and someone could ask, why do we settle for a static page Wikipedia article when we have this interactive real-time answers that we are getting from ChatGPT or all LLM tools available out there? And it's a very, very valid question. And but I thought it would be a good idea to ask another question beneath that kind of layer of questioning whether we should move to LLMs as an answer to all of our inquiries about knowledge. And that I would like to highlight, like, the question, does tools like ChatGPT replace Wikipedia? And the question that we also need to ask here, does it amplify the challenges we as society are facing nowadays, and in which ways? And to address this question, to kind of go through it, instead of me trying to address it immediately and say the answer, I thought it would be a good idea to go through a scenario that I have kind of developed by asking some of the LLMs available, some of the tools, Deep AI, ChatGPT, a question to kind of demonstrate the challenge and the kind of risk that we are facing nowadays. So I've tried to ask this question to several LLMs and tools out there, and it is kind of try to ask this tool to summarize what is digital inclusion or exclusion in this case, and to provide me with some statistics, official reports, and compare across cities and communities. And you can notice, like, this question is, even though I'm trying to be concise, it was a little bit broad to kind of, I didn't specify any country, any group, just kind of, I wanted an overview. And while I was like looking at the answer, I've noticed that gradually most of these tools kind of focused on one country or two countries, which is the US and the UK. And when I've looked at the reports and the final reports that used to kind of provide the answers, you would notice that most of these reports are coming from certain countries. So the US, the Federal Commission, Communication Commission, and you can notice that there is a reason why all of these answers trying to kind of talk about the problem from the kind of angle, or like how these reports is addressing the problem. And when I've asked about cities, obviously the cities were also like mostly US based, discussing this digital inclusion in the US, San Francisco. When I asked for more cities without specifying from which country, it kept kind of throwing at me different cities from the US. And like, just to kind of reflect why I find this is kind of a little bit it's worth paying attention to, is because when you try to describe the community affected, whoever is exploring this problem try to kind of, from their position of power, trying to kind of see who's affected, obviously the answer will be framed around the US. So you can see, like, one of the LLMs tried to kind of explain digital exclusion affects various communities across the United States, and started talking about the United States. So this is kind of, again, I've attempted with several LLMs and to kind of demonstrate something that is documented with research, and I wanted to kind of highlight a scenario before I dig a little bit deeper into the reasons and why, what is happening in the background, what is happening in the black box, what we call it. So this is a report from the Mozilla Foundation's the Internet Health Report, where they try to highlight the kind of facts from one of the papers, research papers on AI. And this is a map, a cartogram, a map that shows how often data sets from certain countries. So each country has a set of data sets being used for AI. So this map shows how often these data sets are being used for AI performance benchmarking across different research papers. So they've kind of looked at 26,500 research papers and looked which data sets being used for developing these AIs. And I have noticed that most of the data sets being used are coming from specific countries. Does that mean that other countries does not have their own data set? They have, but like, again, this is the focus on the discourse about how AI should be used, who is kind of shaping AI the way that they see that this is going to be beneficial. They kind of, with their vision of who should benefit from the AI is framed by those who have owned these data sets. And over half of these data sets are from AI institutions, like top elite institutions across the US, Germany, and Hong Kong. Okay, so like these data sets, what is in these data sets? These data sets are sourced from the internet. They scraped all of the content available and it reflects mostly the English, American, white, and male perspectives from the internet available. And this is according to the report. So why is that? One of the sources, obviously, is Wikipedia. And if you look at, for example, back to the scenario that I was like trying to draw about like asking about digital inclusion and exclusion, why it started kind of giving me this perspective, the angle of the US mostly. If you look at the article on digital divide on Wikipedia, you're gonna notice that this is kind of mostly heavily citing US reports and try to kind of discuss the US narrative, for example, about digital divide in many sections. So this is kind of a little bit biased towards who's writing it, like where are these kind of reports coming from, reference, all of this. Again, this content is being scraped towards the AI models to be trained on. So again, I don't want to dig into too many kind of research papers here to kind of keep at a high level so that we can discuss the fun stuff. And but like I want to highlight that there are a lot of papers emerging nowadays about the ethical concerns, the risks of the AI, how AI does not only get biased by a biased data set, it even amplify this bias. So this is a very interesting paper also like discuss the amplification of the bias. And we are talking here about bias about countries, occupations, or even names. So it's quite concerning. And that brings me to the kind of the core components of this talk about Wikipedia. Why should we care about Wikipedia? Why should we fight for a better representation for certain voices on Wikipedia? Wikipedia is the largest collaborative reference work across the globe. It has 55 million articles in over 341 languages as we speak, active versions of Wikipedia, and there are like 296 billion views each, like 2024 at least. It was 296. So that shows like the magnificent kind of importance of this for us as human species. So who's behind these Wikipedia articles? Who have written these articles? People like us, volunteers from across the globe. And this is kind of a representation of where are these edits coming from and who is like mostly active. You can see the US, and this is the group of people, like they are lovely folks meeting every year. This is me in this very tiny spot over there with a couple of colleagues. It was really fun, like meeting in Poland. And so this is kind of, Wikipedia is one of the projects that's kind of supported by the Wikimedia Foundation. And one of the chapters, each country has a chapter. We have here the Wikimedia UK chapter, where I am also an accredited trainer, training people on editing Wikipedia. So yes, so there's a lovely people organization who is kind of supporting not only Wikipedia, a whole bunch of projects like Wikidata, Wikisource, Wikiversity. Please look up some of these. They are very interesting projects also as well. But let's talk about like this community is facing a lot of challenges. I'm going to go through them bit by bit. I've mentioned content bias. I'm going to dig deeper into it a little bit to show you exactly what is happening in the backstage of all of these data sets being used for the LLMs and AI that we use nowadays. So This is a research from Oxford. A group of researchers have done a brilliant job trying to kind of look at the knowledge gaps across the globe. And they've obviously focused on Wikipedia because it's the largest data set about us as a human species. And they've found a lot of interesting facts. So this is a map that shows the geotagged Wikipedia articles across 44 surveyed languages. And the geotagged, I mean like cities, for example, documenting articles, documenting cities. And you can see the like kind of, this is the more or less the map of the world when it comes to the internet, regardless of the geographical. So you see that there is like missing pieces of our map over here. So this is not only about, and this is kind of to put it in a different perspective to, because kind of there are more Wikipedia articles inside of this circle than outside of it. So that kind of shows you the magnitude of this gap of knowledge about certain cultures, certain cities, and so on. Is it the only gap? There are like way too many gaps on Wikipedia, but I wanted also to highlight a very, very important one, which is the gender gap on Wikipedia. So you've seen the group of editors. So it's only 8.8% of Wikipedia editors are females. And this is kind of, again, is getting reflected on the numbers of biographies. And there's research finding that men tend to write about men, unfortunately. And that's kind of, again, like 19% of biographies is not a reflection of the notability of certain individuals, but reflection of the bias of the community who is writing these articles. And this is, again, not me speaking, documented by research. And this is like, I've referenced this very interesting paper, anyone can edit, not everyone does. And this is kind of, they reflect on the design decisions made early stage of Wikipedia by this bunch of white dudes, middle-aged American, who's kind of designing the platform in a certain way, kind of also led to certain, again, environments facilitated in this platform. So again, this is a very also interesting, I can go talk for a whole day on this because I've been working on this also in my research area. So again, so a third challenge I'm gonna highlight here is the decline of volunteers over time. Unfortunately, we are losing volunteers who are editing, and that's kind of concentrating the power among few editors, which has also some also negative side to it. There are also, like, I've wanted to also show you comparison, even though there are a lot of editors, but the number is declining. But more or less, the core community of active editors is more or less the same. There's here a peak when COVID happened. People had more time to spare and edit. It's quite interesting also to kind of explore these variants. But also, like, again, shows that the population of the globe is increasing, but why is this declining? There are a lot of challenges now when it comes to design of the platform and so on, how to make it more welcoming for newcomers. Okay, so I want to just summarize here that, like, also from these challenges, this is how the world looks like for AI. This is the data sets. These are the people who are contributing. Their voice is being heard on the internet kind of data sets, and this is being picked up by AI. Is that really it? Or is the problem way bigger than we think? I'm getting there, trust me. But I wanted to also highlight another challenging and alarming kind of thing that we need to also pay attention to, that there is now a decline of AI data commons. The data available for everyone to kind of scrape and use in AI is getting less and less. Now websites allowing this scraping through kind of certain techniques in the back end of their websites. So that kind of shows the increased importance of sources like Wikipedia, which is open to everyone to use. And there are also, like, a lot of papers around something called the AI modules collapse, where the performance of a module would degrade through time if you kept. So back to the point. So when there are less data to scrape, there are, like, some practitioners or, like, AI giants trying to kind of generate data from AI models to kind of train the AI models. So it's creating a cycle. So if you think about it, if the AI model is biased, generating this content to train the AI model, creating this cycle, and this is kind of what, again, researchers mentioned, that this is going to lead to AI models collapse. You cannot track back the content. It loses kind of the context and the originality of the content. The human kind of voice gets lost in the process, if I kind of put it. And there's also an alarming article talks about the rise of AI-generated content in Wikipedia. More people trying to push and write articles and submit it to Wikipedia, which is AI, and 5% of the newly added English Wikipedia articles are generated through LLM models, according to this paper. So again, this is again showing this dangerous loop that we might face as humanity as we move. Bias on Wikipedia, as I mentioned, there is a bias being picked up by AI, and then the AI is feeding this. This is creating this vicious cycle. So it's amplifying it sometimes also. So this is what this author calls bias in, bias out, a spin on garbage in and garbage out, and kind of it resonated with me. And yeah, so LLMs, unfortunately, their impact is also negative on Wikipedia. Like, they are not giving attribution to this human endeavor put into it, which is reducing also like participation, because like if you don't know that Wikipedia helped you learn about a certain fact, you might not donate even to Wikipedia when they go around asking you, please donate. It helps. So yeah, so there's the kind of effect, long-term effect, when you are not giving attribution. Less people would get motivated to edit Wikipedia because no one has heard that this is kind of a thing. So, and also AI modules also extracting information while not giving also like paying attention to copyrights, which is again against Wikipedia's open access ethos. So why Wikipedia? Again, back to that question, why Wikipedia and why should we act now? And the same paper that discusses the importance or the bias, it emphasized the importance of this paper here in the bottom. Wikipedia and AI talks about how crucial it is for us to kind of maintain this platform, because it is about representation there. It's about access. It's about advocacy. You cannot advocate on LLM, talk as much as you want. You won't change something when you are speaking. But on Wikipedia, you can change the narrative. If you feel it's not fair, change it. So yes, Wikipedia also ensure verifiable sources. Always, there's no hallucination. Obviously, there might be case or two, but most of the time, the community gets around it and address it immediately. And again, so we need to represent people on Wikipedia, the voices, the marginalized, because like there are also like a lot of papers shows how if we didn't have this advocacy on Wikipedia about who's notable enough to have a biography on Wikipedia, that would affect their livelihood and their economical situation. And there's an article shows how the invisibility of care on Wikipedia affects certain women from getting certain recognitions. And it was the case of medals of honor, I guess, in Australia. It's a very, very interesting read, and I highly recommend it. It's a quite recent one. So Wikipedia also offers a unique space for digital advocacy, for learning what does it mean to get a reliable information, how to develop digital skills while trying to edit. A lot of things, good things, you can get from engaging in that environment. So yes, Wikipedia still matters. We need to kind of stay around it and try to push. Sorry. So yeah, any solutions? Enough with the problems. I'm already frustrated. No, there's hope. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. So we need to invest in people, folks. We need to kind of not just throw technology at people and communities. We need to not also, I hear some voices like we need to bring the human back to the loop. No, we need the humans to lead the loop. And yeah, so, but we also face the problem that humans are complicated. It is very challenging to deal with the humans. And that's why we have research groups like SATSHI here at the University of St. Andrews. So very lovely folks here at the university trying to see how we could design technology to fit to societies, to kind of support them, to be an extension to them rather than a replacement to them. So we need to emphasize more on how we can, again, ask communities to voice their challenges and try to help them to. I will talk a little bit about this later on. That was the subject of one of our projects, actually. So this is kind of leading to this question. I've tried to kind of put everything I've discussed in a nutshell. How can we empower marginalized communities with digital skills to actively contribute to open knowledge platforms like Wikipedia, breaking this cycle of digital exclusion and AI bias while fostering more ethical and representative AI systems? Because if you think about it, these AI models will not suggest anyone to help these communities to get out of their digital poverty, creating this vicious cycle. They cannot contribute their voice and so on. So what could we do? We could start initiatives like this one we've also built here at the University of St. Andrews. So the IDEA network is the network behind this project that I'm talking about today, Digital Inclusion WikiConnect. And this is our mission, to make knowledge production inclusive. Everyone should have a voice. And we do that through bringing research institutions closer to communities, bringing researchers, supporting communities to encourage collaboration to address social issues with high impact, such as addressing the problems of open knowledge, how to make it more accessible for people to contribute. So this is the IDEA network, and this is what we work. We are a very small group of people. This is Kirsty Ross. It's her first day today, so she couldn't join me, unfortunately. And yeah, so we together, Sarah, also the program manager of Wikimedia UK and in the Scotland and Wales, and we are like, yeah, small but perfectly formed group trying to engage the underrepresented groups to fill knowledge gaps, build digital capacity, digital literacy among these folks, and try to increase also capacity for open knowledge by bringing researchers to research the problems of open knowledge and try to, again, address these knowledge gaps and so on. So we've tried all things. We've tried introducing Wiki to the classroom, using it as an assignment for graduation project for some of the students. We've also had a lot of engagements with community. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. Continuous learning. We've provided a lot of training opportunities for different folks to kind of learn about Wiki, about the kind of how to advocate, how to kind of fill certain knowledge gaps. And most importantly, we see research. We settled on research because through research, we can redefine universities, the role of universities. Universities were built to support communities. Unfortunately, gradually, we see this kind of turning into supporting businesses like big corps to kind of prepare the next set of employees in certain companies. And we view it differently. We view, again, university playing this role in transforming society, supporting societies to kind of, again, address the challenges. So we need to bridge gaps between practice, policy, and research and enable systems, build systems that ensure access, protection, and human flourishing. We don't just want to prevent harm from happening. We want to support humans to flourish and thrive. So this kind of talks about the ethics, always like, yeah, we need ethics to not harm someone. No, it's an ethical thing to provide something that helps someone to, again, develop themselves and their communities. So a lot of interesting stuff, and we kind of, the thread that brings all of this from our view is like co-designing with communities. That's why we emphasize the importance of methodologies that involves, again, communities on having a table where everyone have the same voice, researchers, community members, on how we can, again, shape our reality, introduce also socio-technical change, addressing the history and the culture of communities before, again, throwing at them certain technologies. We need to rethink ethics across domains, and we need to also bring, for example, certain concepts like care into designing technologies. It's not always about justice. So this is kind of also the subject of a paper that we published recently in the Participatory Design Conference, and it talks about how certain design decisions could support care practices in communities in comparison to certain decisions that maybe emphasize the importance of efficiency, but breaks certain caring practices in a community. And that's in a reflection to kind of also a case study where we've studied certain socio-technical changes in online communities like Wikipedia. And we've viewed certain care practices among volunteers, and that was like the subject of my PhD actually, which is introducing social technical change to online communities and specifically Wikipedia. So a lot of interesting stuff, and I've been since working with a few of my students, master's students, senior honor students on different projects like those listed here, and more to come over the summer. There are a lot of interesting master's projects in the queue. But like, yeah, I'm gonna highlight some of these. So this is Melting Pot. We co-designed with a group of refugees in Edinburgh a digital compass, a browser extension that could guide certain migrants on how to sign up for certain services in a country. We also like build another extension specifically kind of, it's more kind of broadly targeting those marginalized in the UK in general, not only migrants, on like developing certain digital skills, and also again a browser extension here. We try to kind of engage those folks in who are marginalized. Like we try to kind of present to them like digital exclusion in their societies, to try to kind of motivate them to break out of their bubble and understand the problem and the challenge that they are facing from a very, again, a higher level. Other projects involves trying to kind of build a platform where different universities can talk about different initiatives in the sphere of the ethical digital nation strategy that the Scottish government has put for the nation. And yeah, like one last project, this is about like paving digital research pathways for open knowledge projects, guiding someone who's like, maybe like we have few researchers interested in learning more about how can I contribute to open knowledge. Okay, there is a pathway for you. These are the collaborators, these are the ethics, this is how you get the ethics approval, and so on. These are the funding bodies that could fund a project in open knowledge area. So we are trying to kind of, again, build this environment and ecosystem around open knowledge projects in the IDEA network. So, but like we know, this is a big problem, and it's challenging to kind of address it all at once. So we are trying to focus on one social issue at a time, and our focus on digital poverty, because it's a big problem on a national level. A lot of people affected, 2.4 million people cannot complete a basic online task, and this is impacting the community. And for someone to contribute to open knowledge, they need to have the digital skills, otherwise their voice will not be heard. So that's where we've invested a lot in working with communities. This is one of the projects is called the New Scots Digital Connect, where we've trained in 8 workshops a group of asylum seekers stuck in the system, spend years waiting for whether they're going to be sent to Rwanda or not, and unfortunately affected their livelihood. They couldn't integrate, they couldn't do anything online. So we've trained them, and they've also learned a little bit of cooking, which is always helpful, and so on. This is Lewis from Science Kaylee organization, which we collaborated with, and it was a lovely project. This is another project, again, I've mentioned early on that we need to revisit, understand what is the role of the university in the whole thing, how university can play a role in an ethical digital nation. So we've brought community organizations, researchers, policymakers together to discuss a very interesting questions around the vision of universities, how in different spheres, whether research, teaching, in the institution itself, and in community engagement, how can we shape these activities to kind of, again, align with this vision of an ethical digital nation. And yeah, so there were like 2 workshops, one of them like at a high level, and then we tried to move a little bit to a low level practical kind of exploration. And we were lucky to have Freddie with us in both of these workshops. And thank you, Freddie, for coming. It was really encouraging to see how everyone had the passion to explore this. So what is the vision of the whole thing is to build, again, different pathways, highways to a single social issue, digital poverty in this case. We are trying to bring and build these pathways for communities, researchers, organizations, policymakers to again shape, like focus on or build something together that we iterate on. And this, I'm not going to get into details. What is that thing? Because that's going to take a lot of time. But like, let's again bring and join the dots, bring everyone together to address a problem. So this is kind of, again, I want to just highlight that digital exclusion is not just about access. It is about representation in the information that shapes decisions worldwide. So the information is what matters, how we represent those online. And that's kind of was the link to joining the dots and how I got to kind of meet Freddie. This project that I'm going to talk about now, and I was lucky to kind of speak and engage with Freddie. So here where like research kind of connects with community engagement and the reason or like the logic behind the project that I will talk about now is like, do people realize the impact of their absence in the digital world? If not, why? Because like if you look at Wikipedia, you will not find a lot of articles about digital poverty. And that was the idea behind this project. How about we have this project where we train people, students and staff members on writing articles on Wikipedia about digital poverty. And were lucky to have, again, Freddie for this project as well to talk us through this problem and how big this problem is. And we had a great bunch of students as well with us who work on all sorts of articles, Arabic, Japanese, Russian, and you can see immediately the impact. You can see like how many views these articles got, 48,000. And again, we were not expecting this, but like we also had Korean article, which was written by one of the participants who is joining us today. And I would love to hear from Takaki, his experience in his voice about this project, so that I don't kind of talk much. I kind of hopefully laid the foundation for the project. And Takaki, if you could please unmute and share with us your input on the project.
Yes, thanks, Abd. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Takaki Y, and I'm a third-year student studying mathematics and Russian at University of St. Andrews. And I joined the Digital Inclusion WikiConnect project from September 2024 to December 2024. Sorry, November, until the very end of November. And I was actually, first of all, not sure about joining this project, but then I decided to do so when I started to think about what Wikipedia is for me. So when I heard the term, when I hear Wikipedia, my first impression is something I can never use for my essays. It has got a lot of useful information and sources, but something I would never use for my university assignments. However, I was wondering why I cannot really use it. Why is there a what is the actual issue of using Wikipedia in my university? Which and this kind of curiosity actually led me to join this project at the end, which I'm extremely happy that I did join as a result. So I did mention kind of my biased view towards it, but that was something that I could have actually explored throughout the process of learning how to edit the Wikipedia articles. So so Kirsty, Abd, and Sarah, the Digital Inclusion WikiConnect team, helped me to kind of getting a training and having some practices of setting up the Wikipedia account to actual editing and writing, as well as translating. So one of my contribution was to create a new page for digital inclusion in Japanese, because this was something I didn't exist, and I did some translation based on the English page of digital inclusion. One of the challenges I faced was kind of the first step of getting used to the new platform that I've never seen. Fortunately, I did I didn't understand enough about citations based on my previous university assignments. So that actually helped me quite a lot in that sense. But it does actually take quite a while to get used to how the style of writing, and make sure that I'm not I'm actually writing with kind of a third person's point of view rather than the first or second person, so that the article is written without any biases. One of the aspects I really enjoyed about this project was the fact that I could have met with new people. All the participants, you can see it on the photographs. So it was a great opportunity to meet some of the undergraduate students, postgraduate students, but at the same time, the staff members at the university that I haven't really talked to previously. Overall, my negative impression of Wikipedia being something that I've never opened for my coursework has changed quite a lot to something that I can actually edit and contribute rather than just reading it in my everyday life. So and one of the most one of the most significant conversation I had was with Sarah, who said we shouldn't just use Wikipedia, but we should also edit it and contribute to it. So I'm extremely looking forward to continue my work on Wikipedia. And yes, and I really thank the team for providing this opportunity and letting me to join this amazing project.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, Takaki. And we are also lucky to have people like you. And yeah, and hopefully we are not done here. There will be like another phase. We will gonna push more on content, hopefully in the upcoming period, and even like provide some toolkits for others who are planning to kind of do contribute and run similar kind of initiatives in their environment. So thank you so much again. I'm gonna go through a few more slides and then hand back to Freddie for the Q&A. So yes, about the idea network, I just wanted to highlight that we offer guidance and how to take advantage of knowledge exchange opportunities. It's a lot. Everyone wins. The nice thing about Wikipedia, everyone wins. When you are trying to kind of edit something, you learn a lot of skills. If you translate articles, I've benefited personally from learning new. If you are learning a new language, for example, like understanding certain languages better and the context when you are translating, and again, there's a lot to kind of gain. And at least like you are contributing to something that is gonna be always there for others to benefit from, even though unfortunately the altruistic reasons are getting low on this kind of scale nowadays with how people are engaging, which is reasonable, but also there are a lot of things that we could, again, I can talk a lot about the advantages there to explore open knowledge, but also I can talk about opportunities. So there will be, I will provide you with also the QR to kind of, if you are interested in joining as a member, where we will be organizing 30 minutes every 3 weeks. So kind of drop in for anyone who wants guidance, sources, no much of a commitment. It's just kind of, again, an environment to bring us together, a Microsoft Teams channel that we've university based. So there will be like also like those who wants even to go a step further for a steering group committee meetings to discuss how we are running things. We are also happy to have some of you. So what is next for us? There will be a white paper. We are working on it. We trying to kind of synthesize all of the kind of inputs that we had from the ethical digital nation, the role of universities in the ethical digital nation, the contributions from different kind of parties, putting it into white paper that kind of talks about how we envision universities playing a role in this day of age. We are working on grants to scale up our operations. We are working on a network grant, and we are hopeful to kind of submit the application very soon. That would give us, again, we would be bathing with money so that we can do all fun stuff that we are planning to do. Yeah, so there will be again regular meetings for those interested, opportunities for collaboration. Please scan the QR, just like getting your name, email if you are interested, or drop us an email on this email, and we would love to kind of speak to you and follow up later on. I just want to kind of, this is kind of the big finale of this talk, is just kind of want to emphasize I'm working at the moment of hopefully on like papers, and there will be something that will be kind of exploring further, which I'm trying to frame now, but it's very early stage of it. It's the knowledge bias vortex, and this is where again we need to pay attention to this cycle, this loop, this vicious loop where underrepresented contributions, these communities who don't have the skills, digital skills to contribute to open knowledge, that's resulting with data sets that are biased, representing a fraction of the communities. And this is again getting picked up by AI. And if this AI is being used to generate content to be trained again and again, that's again, this is creating feedback to certain knowledge repositories. Also, I've mentioned how some people are now even using these tools to write content on open knowledge repositories like Wikipedia. And that's again gradually leading to degradation. And this is a very vicious cycle that we need to pay attention. I'm really happy to have someone like Freddie, who is working viciously to kind of fight against digital poverty and digital exclusion, because we need these marginalized communities to voice their concerns, to be represented online. Otherwise, again, there will be a distorted version of the world that I've kind of highlighted early on. So yeah, what you could do, again, like either contact us, join the efforts, or on your own. Look, when you are trying to kind of approach a project, I cannot emphasize enough. It's as simple as thinking about the people before thinking about the problem or like the technology. Unfortunately, I see a lot of researchers coming up with very breakthrough in an innovation of increasing the efficiency of algorithm in 0.1%, but then like try to kind of spend a lot of time finding out how to make use of this innovation, which begs the question of why did you do it in the first place? We need to think about the people, the purpose. Why are we doing something before we are committing? And pay attention also to the process. Who is involved? How are you creating this change? What are the mechanisms? Are they inclusive or not? So this is a very simple method that could be used when you are approaching your next project. And with that, I would like to thank you so much for providing me with this stage to kind of share with you all of these exciting stuff. And yeah, I would hand back to Freddie. And again, thank you so much.